Well, hello, and welcome to Let's Read Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 1, Onikakushi. It's a bit of a mouthful. So, if you're new to this channel, I actually have some experience with this series a little bit. So I'm kind of playing this in a bit of a weird order because I have read from Chapter 1 to Chapter 4 of Umineko When They Cry, which is the spiritual successor slash possible sequel. I don't know, it's complicated. There might be some sequel stuff involved, I don't know. But anyway, that one it's kind of meant to be read after this one, but I kind of didn't really know about this one until after I was already a good ways into Umineko, so now I'm kind of coming back and playing this one. I actually did make a poll at one point. I asked if it was a good idea to read Higurashi before finishing Umineko, and the majority of people actually said no, it was a bad idea. But a slot in the schedule just happened to open up, and the game just happened to go on sale for really cheap in the Steam sale, so I don't know, it worked out this way. It seemed to be a good time to play it for me, so I'm gonna do so. Of course, Umineko is still on the way. When I finish what's going on with that, I will continue that concurrently with this. I'm not gonna wait until this is over. So this will be the weekend video, and when Umineko returns, that will return to being the weekly video. So, or not weekly, weekday, whatever. Anyway, I don't really know much about Higurashi. From what I do know, like, I have some minor, like, exposure to, like, old clips from the anime that I like, completely without context, just random people getting slaughtered. And honestly, that was, like, what originally turned me off from this. Like, it kind of made this show seem like it didn't really have much going on for it, aside from, like, a lot of gore, which, like, I don't know, I just didn't think that there was anything really going on. But after playing Umineko and having people kind of fill me in, like, yeah, Higurashi is actually worth reading, then that definitely made me a lot more interested. So, as you might be able to tell, I am using a mod right now to replace some of the graphics. I can't actually bring it up right now, bring up the menu, but this should replace the graphics with the PlayStation 3 graphics, I believe. I took a look at all the options of all the possible graphics that were available to me, and those were the ones I liked most, so yeah, those are the ones I'm going to go with. And I think that's pretty much all we have, or all the housekeeping I have to say. Like always, with all of the visual novels I read, I will be reading everything except for what the characters say. Hopefully the main character is voiced, because I really don't like it when they aren't, at least for the purposes of this channel. So, yeah. Let's begin, shall we? Onikakushi, opening. Demoned Away chapter. Welcome to the world of Higurashi When They Cry. The Onikakushi arc will be the opening, inviting you into this world. Sit back, relax, and enjoy life in Hinamizawa to the fullest. The difficulty for this chapter is extremely high, but I hope you will enjoy the reward. See, like, I'm getting major Umineko vibes from that, obviously, but this came first, so it really should be the other way around. But and already that leaves me curious, because, okay, just, like, disclaimer right off the bat, I'm going to be spoiling Umineko, probably, up to the point that I've played. And you are free also to talk in the comments up to things from Umineko up to episode 4. Anything beyond that is a no-go, but if you want to talk about things that happened in Umineko, then that is fine. Anything that I have already seen, or rather anything up to the end of episode 4 of Umineko. And as always, please avoid spoilers for this series. Please just avoid giving me any hints or even clarifications on things that I'm misunderstanding. Unless it's really, really obvious and I'm just being a complete idiot, then that's fine, but that's probably not necessarily necessary if you're thinking about trying to help me out in that way. Anyway, let's begin. Please do not deplore yourself, even if the world does not forgive you, I will forgive you. Please do not deplore yourself, even if you do not forgive the world, I will forgive you. So please tell me, what will it take for you to forgive me? Frederica Berncastle. I believe that's a real person, but I don't know who they are. But, yeah, if we've played Umineko, we know who that's, or what that name is a reference to, I guess. It's going to be really complicated trying to, dance around saying things like, I remember that from Umineko, when really it's things in this came first. So I should be saying, I should be remembering things from this instead of from Umineko. But obviously I've never read this before, so this is new to me, whereas Umineko is my frame of reference. So if it gets kind of annoying when I'm saying, oh yeah, that's that thing from Umineko, well, obviously I know that it originated from this. It's my frame of reference, you know? Alright. If I was going to be ripped apart anyways, having my body ripped apart would have been far better. I trusted her. No, I still trust her. Even in this very moment, I trust her. But I'm starting to realize I only wanted to trust her because I refused to accept the truth. It was as if I was trying to convince myself in such a silly, sobbing voice. And those tears making a mess of my face. That mechanical, repetitious sound finally stilled, and everything fell silent. Only the cry of the cicadas remained annoyingly loud. And yet, I felt as if I could still hear her voice. But that's not possible. She's no longer speaking. The only one crying is me. So right off the bat, it feels like we're already getting into some murder, because I feel like we've just killed somebody. And that sound effect we're hearing sounds an awful lot like the sound of an axe or something. She never cried. Even when she repeated those words over and over, she never expressed any emotion, because there were none to show. If she had no tears to shed for me, then I shouldn't need to shed any for her. Then why, this pain, my eyes getting moist, why was this happening? I still wanted to believe I hadn't been split apart. That's enough, right? Inside me, an inner voice whispered gently. My spirit had suffered enough. And countless times I'd wavered over whether I should just throw the battered thing away. Except, I've stubbornly refused to do that, haven't I? I'd feel better if I just threw it away. Even knowing that, I chose to believe, didn't I? Only I can understand that painful struggle and appreciate it. Hey, me? I've tried more than enough. I'll acknowledge that much. So, isn't it all right to just take the easy way out? Besides, I'm not throwing it away. I'm leaving it behind, with her. Like flowers by a grave. See, I'm wondering if we're actually going to get like a flashback, because this feels like kind of like a bit of an in media res. Like, this feels like we're in the middle of something important, and we're going to probably explain how we got here. But I could be completely wrong. There might just be nothing important going on here. I don't know. Now then, calm your nerves. Even though you can't feel your right arm, just lift it up. And with every swing, forget a little more. And that kindness made me happy. Although, like, from the sound of that, it sounds like he's digging like an axe into like wood rather than like flesh. So I think maybe, I don't know, depending on whether we can take that sound as being accurate, we might not be a murderer. I don't know. That kindness made me happy. And that adorable smile brought me joy. I liked petting your head. I loved how demure you were. Yeah. I'm starting to feel that that is definitely the case. There's definitely some murder going on here. Although, maybe it's like, this her that he's talking about is somebody who's already died. Maybe he's just like cutting up their corpse for some reason. I don't know. Because this will be the last time. Because when I swing this down, I'll forget. This is my first and last bouquet for you. Perhaps I really did love you. Well, it's quite the opening, but I'm a little lost, and I imagine I'm probably supposed to be. Somebody has been apologizing for a while now. I wonder what she's apologizing for. It felt wrong to eavesdrop, so I tried to ignore it. It had been a while since I'd last went to the city. I only returned to attend the funeral of a relative. Hopefully not the funeral of the relative or the person that we were just involved with, I guess you could say. Even though I'd lived there until last month, I found the bustle of the city to be overwhelming. Those skyscrapers and the multi-lane roads. The melodious cacophony of the crosswalk. Even the campaign speeches blaring in front of the station felt nostalgic. The place where I live now isn't nearly as lively. There's only the chirping of locusts and babbling of brooks. And the cry of the Higurashi, the evening cicadas. Ah, so that's what that means. It's funny how in Umineko the name of the game, it's Umineko. It's named after like seagulls, whereas in this it's named after cicadas. So it's like, it seems like every time they name it after like some ambient animal that provides a certain noise to the background. I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing those two animals really have in common, I guess. Rather than making me feel lonely, that quietness had begun to instill a sense of serenity. There is nothing where I'm living now. I don't just mean there aren't any burger joints. there aren't even vending machines. No music stores, no restaurants, and no arcades. An ice cream parlor? No chance. The nearest town has some stuff like that, but it's an hour away by bike. But come to think of it, it wasn't really a big deal. There were music stores and arcades and ice cream parlors where I used to live, but it wasn't like I ever hung out at any of them. I'd lived in the city for 10 years and never once been to an ice cream parlor. I should have gone at least once. It's only now that I'm starting to regret that a little. Somebody is still apologizing. Who is she apologizing to? She's apologized so much, so just forgive her already. There's no reason anyone should ever need to apologize so much. I started to feel a bit annoyed at whoever was refusing to forgive her. No matter how bad the mistake, there's nothing that can't be forgiven. There's no such thing as an irreparable mistake. You just need to be more careful next time. You know, like, I agreed with that first part, but then that second part, yeah, no, I'm not quite sure about that. There's definitely irreparable mistakes. She's still apologizing, even now. Although, then again, that might actually be a hint, because I feel like maybe there aren't actually irreparable mistakes in this setting, depending on how things work. I don't know. Like, depending on whether they go, like, the whole supernatural route with this, I don't know. She's still apologizing even now. Then, has she really done something that can't be fixed? I have no idea what she's done, but if it can't be fixed, then that's all the more reason to forgive her. No matter how much she apologizes, nothing will change. But even so, she keeps apologizing in such a heartbreaking voice. Hey, you, the one she's apologizing to. Why don't you just go ahead and forgive her? She's apologizing in such a pathetic voice.
Ch1, そろそろ着くぞ。起きなさい。
I was finally roused from my nap by my father's prodding. Oh, you know what? That whole scene that we saw earlier might have actually just been a dream. I mean, I doubt it, but it's entirely possible. It seemed the train had reached its final stop. We'd spent hours riding everything from the bullet train to the local routes. It was hard to believe that the landscape beyond the window and the city I was in half a day ago were in the same country. No, that they were even from the same era. From there, we'd take a car deeper into the mountains. Past where the dense forest encroaching on the mountain road suddenly opened up. There, where I live now. Hinamizawa. Even though we were approaching summer, the morning air still had a frigid bite. Although, in exchange, you could fill your lungs up with a crisp, clean air. Flipping open the window, I was greeted with a verdant expanse. Nothing but trees. The neighboring house was far away on the other side, so I was probably the only one enjoying that view and that air. I filled my lungs with another deep breath. Since I started living in Hinamizawa, I learned that even air had its own taste. I quickly finished getting ready for school and headed downstairs for breakfast. My mother was the only one there. My father was nowhere to be seen. Okay, so we know that we have a mother and a father. Still not sure if we're a man or a woman, or a guy or a girl, or whatever. He was probably up working until the early morning. Actually, come to think of it, I think we heard a name earlier. Let me see. Keiichi. That sounds like a male name. Dad had a rather unconventional job as a painter. It's such a laid-back profession. Get up when you want, sleep when you want, and work when you want. I was so jealous of that easygoing lifestyle. I even wrote for school that I wanted to be a painter when I grew up. Dad was ecstatic about that. It was just because it looked easy. I'd never tell him that, though. Mom laid breakfast out on the table. Seaweed, pickled vegetables, raw egg, and grilled salmon. My mom was such a good cook, it was scary. A perfect, immaculate, ideal breakfast. Unlike my dad, who didn't even know the meaning of the word schedule, my mom never squandered any time or effort. She hummed a little tune as she brought over the miso soup. It seemed like she was in a good mood today.
こっちに引っ越してきてから圭一が早起きになって嬉しいわね。
早起きしないと朝飯を食いそびれるんだよ。
Alright, we've got a voice too, so that's good. And yep, that confirms that we are male. Also, by the way, I should specify, or rather I should note that the mod that I'm using allows me to play in either this mode or this adventure mode. I personally prefer the novel mode because it's just what I'm used to with this series, so I'm gonna stick with this novel mode. Even though the adventure mode kind of gives us it's more of like a typical visual novel. This style is just like, I don't know. I think there's just something charming about it, so I'm gonna stick with it. I thought I was being cute, responding with a wisecrack after being praised for being good.
ご飯はいっぱい？それとも半分くらいでいい？
山盛り。
First, I savored the steaming hot rice with the seaweed. After that, I covered it with the egg. Between bites of rice, I enjoyed the crunch of the pickles. Not bad at all. Excellent as usual. Watching me clean my plate, Mom gave me a warm smile.
こっちに引っ越してきてから圭一が朝食を欠かさないんで嬉しいわね。
So apparently he used to skip breakfast, and he used to not get up early when they did not live here. I wonder how long they've been living here. I was not a morning person when we lived in the city. I slept right until the last minute before school and rarely ate breakfast. Boycotting the breakfast Mom made me each morning. That was probably the only way I could protest being forced to attend cram school. I guess that was what you'd call my rebellious phase. I wouldn't so much as look at the breakfast she woke up early every day to make. If I could go back in time, I'd slap myself. Mindful of the time, Mom rushed me along with a wide grin.
そろそろレナちゃんと待ち合わせの時間じゃない？急いで急いで。
Mom really seemed to enjoy the fact that her son was going to school with a girl. Reina, is one of my classmates. She really loves looking after people, coming to meet me every day without fail. The way I looked at it, a guy my age walking to school with a girl was just lame. But, well, keeping a classmate waiting for me every day wouldn't be very considerate. Seriously, though, how long does Reina wait there for me every morning? Taking one last gulp of miso soup, I raced for the door.
レナちゃんにお漬物ありがとうって伝えてね。
Come to think of it, those pickles weren't store-bought, were they? If I'd known that, I would have savored them a bit more.
あいよ。
ケイチくん、おはよう。
Her cheerful greeting was as fresh as the morning itself. And there we have the girl on the, in the icon, I guess, of the main icon of this chapter. So from what I understand, or at least from what I've seen from just looking at the different episodes in the Steam store, each one seems to be focused around a different character, and she seems to be the one that this one is focused around. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it just seems like at least there's one kind of like main character for each chapter.
相変わらず早えな。たまにはのんびり朝寝坊したっていいんだぜ。
お寝坊したらケイチくんを待たせちゃうじゃない。
She's so conscientious and such a good person.
そん時は置いてく。
ケイチくん冷たい。いつも待っててあげてるのに。
サクサク置いてく。キリキリ置いてく。
どうして冷たいんだろう。
Reina had a slightly troubled look on her face. Toying with her was rather fun because of how quickly her mood changed.
嘘。ちゃんと待ってるよ。
With those words, Reina seemed to relax. Her face flushed bright red.
ありがとう。
She seems like the typical, like, airhead character. Although, I don't know, it might be too early to say that for sure.
レナが来るまでずーっと待ってる。いつまでも。
ずっと。
Reina turned bright red, steam rising from her head as her brain short-circuited. She's especially weak to this sort of talk. It's quite rare to find someone this fun to tease.
レナはロマンスものの文庫本は読んだことあるか？
ないよ。読んだことない。
From that response, I gathered that she was interested in them, but was too embarrassed to actually buy one. I couldn't imagine what would happen if she did read one. She'd probably turn red and pass out. Yeah, the thing about romance novels is they actually tend to be pretty explicit. Like, I don't know. I haven't really actually read any, but that's just what I've heard about them.
そうそう。お袋から伝言。漬物サンキューでしたって。
You wouldn't think so, but they tend to be pretty graphic from what I've heard.
どういたしまして。どうだった？しょっぱくなかったかな？
They weren't that salty. Actually, they had a pretty light flavor to them. It would have been fine to just be honest and say they were good, but apparently I couldn't be that forthright.
その前に聞きたい。あの漬物を漬けたのはレナか？レナのお母さんか？
なんで聞くんだろう。しょっぱかった？
Her attitude completely changed as she began to panic frantically.
レナか？レナのお母さんか？
なんで作った人聞くんだろう。太郎。
どっちが作ったかで感想が著しく変わる。
She counted frantically on her fingers, trying to remember the amount of salt she'd used to pickle them. It wasn't like I was trying to tease her, but I couldn't stop myself. Guys who take pleasure in this kind of thing are probably the worst. Guys like me. Reina nervously opened and closed her mouth over and over, trying to muster a response.
レナだけど。
うまかった。前回に続きなかなかだったぜ。飯との相性は最高だった。
Her face went bright red again. I actually thought, based on the fact that they did not have a sprite for the first time her face went red, I thought that they just didn't have one, but turns out they do. She was completely spacing out. It truly was a lot of fun to tease her. I pray that Reina never gets taken advantage of by some lowlife. I hope that's not foreshadowing. Keep at it, Reina. I'll train you until you handle it like the average person. Or so I decided for myself.
行こうぜ。ミオンを待たせるとあいつうるさいぞ。
I'm gonna hope that she is not the person that was being axed at the beginning. Although we don't even really know if that's really what was happening there, but like nothing else really makes sense with what he was saying. Seeing as she'd just keep spacing out otherwise, I called Reina back to reality so we could make our way to school. This strange, easily flustered girl is Reina Ryugu. I've only known her for about a month, but I've come to realize it's not just her name that's strange. Coming up to the next rendezvous point, we saw another person waiting for us. Noticing us, she waved. And here we have, I think, the person from the second episode. I'm pretty sure. Or one of them, anyway. Or, I say episode, it's actually chapters, I think they're called in this. They all have, like, weird names that I haven't memorized.
いつも遅いのはお前の方だろ。
In sharp contrast to the diligent Reina, this one marched to the beat of her own drum. She's Mion Sonozaki. For what it's worth, she's our senior and head of the class.
おはようレナ。そしてケイちゃんお久しぶり。何年ぶりだっけ
2日しか休んでねえよ。
そうだっけか前に会った時はこんなにちっちゃくて可愛かったのにな。
Mion then lowered her hand to about 1 meter above the ground.
俺は先月引っ越してきたばかりなんだが。
こんなに立派に育ってくれて、おじさん苦労した甲斐があったよ。
She gently took out a handkerchief and pretended to weep into it. Just what is she trying to pull off at 8 o'clock in the morning?
誰が苦労したんだ誰が。
たくましくなっちゃった上にヒゲまで生やしちゃってさ。
まだヒゲなんか生えるか。
いや生えてるね。先週ヒゲ剃り買ったでしょ。
I wonder how old these characters are even supposed to be.
あれは親父の。なんでお前が知ってる。
Mion sneered at the question and then wagged her index finger right in my face. Just what is she playing at?
ミオンさんの情報収集能力をなめちゃいけないよ。ケイちゃんの昨日の夕食からレナの3サイズまで全ておじさんはお見通しさ。
My interest piqued. I placed my hand on her shoulder while she was still smirking.
ちなみにレナの3サイズは
やっぱ気になる？ちなみに高いよ。いくら出す？
Catching on to our awful discussion, Reina became flustered and began to ramble in a near panic. You know, I've never really understood the whole fascination with 3 sizes. Like, I guess it's because I have, like, nothing to compare those numbers to, but they just seem like numbers to me.
ねえねえ、何の話？何の話だろ？何の話だろ？
Red-faced and flustered, Reina tried to play dumb, but it was obvious she knew exactly what we were talking about.
どうだった？久しぶりの都会はさ。
Mion switched gears, dropping the dirty talk and changing the topic to something more befitting the pleasant morning.
葬式で行っただけだぜ。慌ただしいだけだったよ。
でさ、探しといてくれた？頼んどいたやつ。
お前、人の話聞いてないだろ。俺は葬式で帰っただけだぜ。おもちゃ屋巡りをしてる余裕なんかなかったんだよ。
Well, I guess if they live in, like, the boonies here, then, I mean, it makes sense that they'd want, like, any opportunity to just get anything that they hear about would be something that they want.
ち。おもちゃ屋とホビーショップは全然違うよ。特に洋物、こっちじゃなかなか手に入らないからね。みーちゃん、またゲームの話？
Mion nodded proudly as Reina giggled. Please tell me it's not going to be like a Ouija board or something like that.
そう、ケイちゃんに洋芸のカタログを持ってきてもらいたかったんだけどね。
Westport was short for Western Imported Games. Using that abbreviation did make it sound pretty geeky.
そんなのまた通販で取り寄せりゃいいじゃねえか。
ま、そうするかな。またプレイングの熱いゲームを入荷するからね。今度は私にもわかりやすいゲームがいいな。
Mion is a board and card game enthusiast, and I hear she's collected quite a lot of different ones. According to Reina, Mion's room has kind of become a museum for domestic and foreign games.
俺にもわかりそうなゲームがあったらやらせてくれよ。
いいよ。ケイちゃんさえ良ければね。でもうちらのレベルは高いよ。
上等じゃねえか。俺だって遊び100番遅れを取るつもりはないぜ。
じゃあ今度はケイチ君も仲間に加わるのかな。
Bristling with joy from head to toe, Reina looked back and forth between me and Mion. Mion gave her an affirmative wink, and her expression perked up even further.
男の子ってきっと外で遊ぶ方が好きだと思ってたからダメかと思ってたよ。
Reina laughed happily. From such a friendly conversation, you wouldn't think I had moved here less than a month ago. Oh, there's our timeline. I understood that they did all they could to make a transfer student like me feel at home. I'll have to try harder to fit in, so they won't feel like they have to try to make me feel welcome. Yeah, I've noticed especially in, like, really rural places that transfer students tend to be, like... People tend to really like transfer students when they show up, because they're, like, they're kind of like something new to break up the monotony of like, the countryside, you know? Whereas, like, in the big city, the transfer student is not going to be treated as well. I felt like if I acted a bit more open than I usually am, it should probably be about right for this place. Hinamizawa was a really small village. Not only was there only one school, but there was only one class. That class encompasses all different grades and ages. There are about 30 students at different levels, and they all study in the same class. I'm told that long ago there used to be a bigger school building and they had actual separate classes. However, it seems something happened that made it become a single class, and now it stayed that way out of tradition. That sounds a bit ominous. I was shocked at first, but humans adapt pretty quickly. I've already gotten quite used to it. The sound of children playing started right from the morning. With such a lively mood, it felt more like a kindergarten than a proper school. Not that that was a bad thing. Mion, who had been walking in front of us until then, suddenly let me take the lead. Right in front of the classroom door. So I was meant to slide the door open and enter the room first. Huh. Too bad. I wasn't gonna fall for that again.
ここで先頭を譲るとはな。お手並み拝見ってことかよ。
Mion chuckled with a haughty smirk on her face.
どうしたの二人とも。
Oh boy. Whatever trap is laid on that door, I have a feeling that Reina here is gonna be the unfortunate victim who falls into it.
下がってろレナ、危ないぞ。やつだ。
じゃあ、さとこちゃんが
Oh. Never mind. I was thinking, like, Mion here had, like, set up a bucket on top of the door or something like that. Her name was Satoko Hoju. She was a disrespectful, impudent, bossy kid. The way she talks was annoying, but it would be immature to get worked up over just that. The real problem was this.
見え見えの罠だな。引き戸の上に挟んだ黒板消し。
I knew it was something like that.
見え見えだぜ、サトコ。
A haughty laugh came from beyond the door.
お見事、ケイちゃん。こりゃ今回は勝負あったかな。
いや、相手はサトコだ。これだけとは思えない。
After falling for such intricate traps since the day I transferred, I no longer let my guard down. Satoko liked to combine a variety of traps that were simply there to bait you into the main one, traps that relentlessly kept coming at you like a sadistic Rube Goldberg machine. The list goes on. As well as being clever, they almost never misfire. When you least expect it, she strikes. No escape, no time to relax.
見たところ黒板消しは普通。石とかは入れてないみたいだな。
I took a pretty heavy hit from a blackboard eraser loaded with rocks on my first day.
じゃあさ、ガラガラって開けて落としちゃえばいいんじゃないかな。
それだ。
That's what Satoko was after, making me focus my attention upward. So as I lifted my hand to the door, there were thumbtacks stuck to the sliding door handle with a tape. A frightening trap. A potent and terrifying trap. Okay, that kind of goes beyond just like a prank. That's actually like... someone could get hurt with that. Granted, I don't think that's at the forefront of this person's mind. I don't think whoever this is, Satoko, really cares. Concealed by using the blackboard eraser.
見事なコンボだ、サトコ。だが所詮はガキの浅知恵だったな。
Assured of my victory, I threw the door open and stepped into the room. I felt something strange at my ankle. It was similar to the sensation of a jump rope catching on my leg. Of course, that wasn't all there was to it. By the time I realized she had me, hook, line, and sinker, it was already too late. I began to fall in an almost picturesque manner. Instinctively reacting to Mion's shrill warning, I twisted my body in midair before I landed on the floor. An inkstone filled to the brim was placed right where I would have landed. I shuddered, imagining the situation had I landed square on it. I don't know what an inkstone is, but I imagine it would probably leave a an ink blot all over you or something.
あらあら、これはこれは。おはようございます、ケイチさん。朝から賑やかですわね。
I wonder, is this Lambda Delta? It seems like possibly the character that Lambda Delta is modeled after, or possibly even the same character, although I have no idea when this is supposed to take place, like timeline-wise. We didn't actually get a year, I don't think, so I don't know if that would really work out. Or even if it did, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on with that, so I don't know if that's even something I should bother thinking about right now. Still sprawled in an awkward position, I was greeted by a mocking voice.
一段とスペシャルなトラップワークになったじゃねえか、サトコ。
私何のことかわかりませんもの。
Yeah, this is totally gotta be, like, the character that... Like, she even has the same voice, I'm pretty sure. This is definitely Lambda Delta. Or the person who will eventually become Lambda Delta, maybe, at some point.
朝からついてませんわね。
Because I know that the character who becomes Burncastle is also in this, so it makes sense that she would be here too.
てめえ。あ、ててててて。
It seemed I'd inadvertently sprained my back a little when I'd landed. Better than landing on that inkstone. A small hand gently rubbed my head. And there she is. She's probably going to be the character that I'm going to be most interested in, like seeing how her story plays out, just because of my prior exposure to her in Umineko. Granted, I don't even know what her name is in this, or what kind of, like, character she's going to be in this.
ケイチの痛いの飛んでいけです。
The small, dainty hand continued to gently stroke my head.
腰とかはくじかなかったですか？
Her voice sounds a bit different, I think, but it might just be her putting on a different voice.
こうして撫でていれば痛いのは消えてきますです。
And I'm pretty sure, like, just based on things that she said in Umineko, that she has a very different personality from when she was a human, which I presume she is right now. I really don't know. Like, I'm kind of making all sorts of assumptions right now that I probably shouldn't be. I should probably just be kind of letting it rock and just kind of not thinking about that stuff too much right now. I thought about asking how rubbing my head would help my back, but I didn't. It's not so much about what you actually do, it's the thought that counts.
ありがとな。リカちゃんのおかげで痛みが引いてきたぜ。
リカちゃん、おはよう。レナにおはようございます。みんなにもおはようございますです。
Rika-chan greeted each of us with an adorable little bow. Okay, so her name is Rika. We don't know what her full name is yet, but... It was infectious. Reina, Mion, and I all bowed back.
リカちゃんはいい子だよな。それに比べてサトコは。
I glared over in her direction. Satoko was whistling while rather deliberately trying to avoid eye contact.
サトコはいい子でございますのことよ。
いい子はこんな凶悪な罠は仕掛けないぞ。
言いがかりでございますわ。何の証拠があって、ふが。
I picked up Satoko by the back of her collar. She looks like a misbehaved cat when I do this. But a cat wouldn't be setting traps. I don't know about that. I feel like cats are prone to set at least like ambushes. She's much harder to deal with.
ごめんなさいって言ってみな。 言わないなら
I cocked my index finger on my thumb, letting it tremble as I brought it closer to Satogo's forehead.
暴力反対ですの。証拠もないのに。
Well, that's definitely a... or, I was gonna say a new aspect of her character, but let's just say that that is definitely a difference from how I remember her.
言っとくが俺のデコピンはすごく痛い。ベニヤくらいなら割る。
やめて、寄らないでけだもの。
人様が聞いたら誤解するような言い方をするんじゃねえ。
A small hand tugged on the back of my shirt.
圭一が2日間もお休みしたから寂しかったのです。
Rika-chan really is just so... How could I do anything more after being told that? I gently released my grip on Satoko, who at this point was on the verge of tears. She still had her eyes clamped shut as she braced herself with a forehead flick.
悔しくなんかないもん。泣いちゃダメです、サトコ。ファイト、おーです。
There's that catchphrase that we got like a retroactive reference to in Umineko that like it's like a reference that I should have gotten if I had played this beforehand, but that I didn't. But I figured it was probably a reference. I didn't know what it was a reference to at the time. Rika gently petted the head of her prankster friend. You would never guess those two are the same age. I think Satoko could learn a thing or a million from Rika-chan.
今度はもっとすごい罠を仕掛けなさいですよ。
Wait a minute. As she observed the scene, Reina's expression grew ecstatic as she began to swoon.
サトコちゃん泣いてる。かわいいよ。
Is that really the right reaction to somebody crying?
持ち帰っちゃダメだからね。いや、だってこんなにかわいいよ。
Like, just based on appearance, it feels like these two are older than the other two over there.
どんなに可愛くてもダメなの。でもちょっとくらいならダメかな。
Reina kept a cutesy face, even as outrageous ideas spewed from her mouth. According to Mion, Reina is ridiculously weak to cute things and always tries to take them home. Object or person.
物もまずいが誘拐はもっとまずいぞ。諦めろ。
じゃあ見てるだけだよ。
Reina swooned over Satoko's crying form. If a girl ever goes missing in Hinamizawa, I'll be forced to turn Reina into the authorities. See, that also sounds like something that could end up being like some really twisted foreshadowing. Forgive me, Reina. I'll be sure to bring you care packages when they put you away.
先生来たよ。早く片付ける。サトコ、すずりあんたのでしょ。
Just from Mion's single statement, the entire mood of the room shifted back to normal. The inkstone was bad, but the thumbtacks stuck to the door handle were an even bigger problem. It seems like Mion is like actually the most mature person here. Possibly even the oldest. She definitely seems to be the tallest, at least. I pulled the tape off carefully, making sure not to skewer myself. Even though Satoko was the one who set it up, everyone had to pick up after her. By the time the teacher entered the room, the bedlam from before had been neatly tidied up.
間に合ったね。起立。気をつけ。
Oh, so she's also the class rep. Mion gave out the morning commands. It's difficult being the teacher for all these different grades in one classroom. She has to teach something different to each one. But naturally, she ends up spending all her time with the younger kids. Reina and Mion, being in the highest grade in the class, end up mostly doing self-study. They even end up helping teach the younger kids, so it seems like they can never get to their own studies. They're actually way behind where my studies have progressed to. Okay, so is our main character actually younger than them, then? As a result, I'm pretty much taking over for the teacher and helping Reina and Mion with their studies.
Ch1 はお勉強教えるのうまいね。わかりやすいよ。
Reina took a breather after finishing highlighting an important section.
教える端から自信がなくなるよ。自分の理解の浅さがわかるな。
人に教えるには3倍理解してなければならないって言うしね。ケイちゃんもうちらに教えながら同時に復習もできてるわけなんだよ。
In contrast, this person over here is quite laissez-faire about things. For one, isn't she supposed to be in a higher grade than me? Oh, there's our confirmation on that.
ミオンさ、一言じゃないぞ。真剣にやんないとまずいぜ。こんなレベルじゃ。
別に進学校を目指すわけでもないし、受験に必要なそこそこができてりゃ十分十分。
Her staunch defiance was really something else. This was a different type of relaxed than somebody who already knew what was going to be on the entrance exams.
みーちゃん、ケイチくんが頑張って教えてくれるんだからさ。私たちも頑張ろうよ。
レナは素直ないい子だな。先生がきっといい学校に進学させてやるからな。
ありがとう。
I don't think he has the power to do that.
レナには特に教えてやるからな。二人きりでプライベートレッスンだぞ。
プライベートレッスン。
A puff of smoke shaped like a halo popped out of Reina's head. Exactly what kind of private lessons is she fantasizing about that's making her turn so red? I'd like to hear the play-by-play of that next time. Oh, come on, don't pretend that you weren't intending it that way. While Mion was flipping through her vocabulary flashcards, she threw out a casual question.
都会じゃさ、こんなに勉強しなきゃいけないわけ？
この程度はできないと進学できないね。
進学できないから勉強するわけ？
まあ、平たく言えばそうなるな。将来役に立たないのは承知で。
こっちじゃあさ、出席日数が足りてりゃみんな進学できるんだよ。
そうなのか？
Study equals entrance exams. Having that basic law of the universe so easily overturned sent me into a state of shock.
そうかもね。試験で振り落とさなきゃならないほど人もいないし。誰でも進学できるならさ、そんなにガリガリとやることもないんじゃない？
まあそうだけど、でも一般常識程度にはできた方が。
おじさんはそんな無駄な勉強に時間をかけるよりさ、この思春期の貴重な時間をもっと有意義に過ごすために使うべきじゃないかなと考えるわけよ。
I wonder why she keeps referring to herself as this old geezer. was too profound of a statement to simply laugh off. But since it was Mion, it probably didn't actually have that deep of a meaning. In place of a chime, the sound of the principal waving a handbell drifted through the classroom.
ケイちゃん、おしまいおしまい。さあ、楽しいランチタイム。
In a complete 180 from her unmotivated state, Mion gave the commands that signaled the end of the morning period.
ケイチくん、お昼にしよう。
I might have been making a very troubled face. Reina smiled brightly at me.
よっしゃ、飯にするか。
There seemed to be different cliques even within the class. Most of them were divided up by gender and age, but our group was different. Our ages were different and we had both boys and girls. But we weren't reserved around each other. This level of openness makes a transfer student like me pretty happy. Reina and Mion pushed their desks together so they were facing each other. At the same time, Satoko and Rika-chan were slowly lugging their desks over as well.
ケイチくん、早く早く。
Reina waved her chopsticks in an unrefined manner, trying to hurry me along. Unless everyone was together, they wouldn't even open their lunchboxes.
ケイチさんのお弁当は耳ちく日の丸弁当に決まってますわ。さあ、恥ずかしがらずにお見せなさいな。ほらほら。
Even though Satoko was hurling insults at me, she still wouldn't open the lid on her lunchbox until I was there. I pulled out my lunchbox swiftly and dragged my chair over to join the circle.
お待たせ。
では、ミー委員長の号令でいただきますです。
At first, this was kinda embarrassing, but I got used to it pretty fast. At this point, I probably wouldn't even open my own lunchbox if someone else was too slow. Our ages and genders may have all been different, but we were all friends.
いただきます。
The sound of our little 5-part chorus echoed beautifully throughout the classroom. Really though, I've gotten pretty used to this group made up of all girls. Of course, there are other boys in the class, but they were a lot younger, so they were scared to approach me. Well, that's to be expected. Younger boys just see older boys as scary. Compare that to girls, well, at least girls aren't picky. We put all the side dishes in the middle where everybody was free to pick at them. I thought girls would mind sharing a meal with a guy, so I was a bit flustered joining in. However, Mion noticed that and teased me quite a bit. As the fruit of my efforts, I can now reach over and take sides from anybody's lunch.
あらあら、ケイチさんのお弁当は今日は大奮発ではございませんこと？
あらあら、さとこさんのお弁当こそ大奮発ですこと。煮物がしっくていい感じですわ。
Buying into the fight that Satoko was starting, our chopsticks locked in a cross-counter, stabbing into each other's lunch.
ビビ
お、里芋がいい感じだぞ。煮物は冷めててもうまいよな。
After seeing my happy face, Rika-chan's expression broke into a little smile.
夕べの夕食の煮物少し取っておきましたですよ。
By the way, Satoko and Rika-chan's lunches are always the same. It seems that Rika-chan makes it for both of them every day.
この煮物もリカちゃんが作ったのかい？こいつはお袋の味クラスだよな。
I was honestly impressed. The carrot rosettes weren't from a mold. They were done by hand with a knife. It's not easy to do.
リカちゃんって何気にそういうの得意なんだよな。お裁縫とかお洗濯とかも上手なの。すごいよね。すっごいよね。 理科はいろいろとすんごいんですのよ。
Yeah, that's definitely that voice. We've definitely heard that before. I mean, I say we, but I guess not everyone watching this may have actually also read Umineko. But then again, I don't know. I would kind of expect that since I gave the warning up front, that you probably would have.
お前が威張ることじゃねえ。
僕よりレナの方がお料理は上手です。
I mean, if you haven't, I mean, I have a playthrough that you can watch. Not to just plug it or anything, but it's there. It's just waiting for people to watch it.
そのね。
It seemed that the topic of conversation switched to Reina when she wasn't expecting it, making her blush and trip over her words. Reina's lunch really was the star of the table. Not only did it look good, it tasted good. Everyone else pulled from Reina's lunchbox
こ
constantly.
れ前に評判良かったからいっぱい作ってみたの。美味しいかな？
かなり合格点。あ、ミオ、お前取りすぎだよ。
Knocking Mion's chopsticks aside, I reached out, trying to secure my own portion. Satoko and Rika-chan reached over at the same time, and a struggle ensued. Everyone shoveled in mouthful after mouthful while praising it, and Reina's lunchbox was soon empty. It was kinda bad that no one thought to leave any for Reina. But Reina seemed rather satisfied as she looked on.
いかがかしら。レナさんもとてもお料理が上手ですことよ。
Yeah, I've never understood people who just, like, give away all their food at lunch. Like, when I was in school, I would always just eat my own food, and everyone else would just eat their own food, and that was that. Nobody just went around giving away food. That just wasn't something that you really did.
ケイイチさんとは大違いですの。
だからお前が威張ることじゃねえだろ。
サトコだってケイちゃんと変わらないじゃんよ。あんたブロッコリーとカリフラワーの区別つくようになったわけ？
Satoko's face went pale.
おいおい、ブロッコリーとカリフラワーの違いなら俺だってわかるぜ。
わかりますもの。わかるもん。
It's really hard for her to lie. I mean, literally all you have to do is know the difference. To have, like, been told that once, and that's all it takes. They don't look very similar aside from their shape.
ケイイチくん、どっちでも茹でてマヨネーズかけると美味しいじゃない？いじめちゃかわいそうだよ。みーちゃんも。
Reina hurriedly tried to follow up, but Mion laughed haughtily as she grew closer to Satoko.
まあまあ、家庭科の授業ってことで。じゃあサトコ、これは？
Mion lifted up her chopsticks. Between them was a piece of green stuff wrapped in bacon.
でもそれ、アスパラ。
Mion made eye contact with me, and within 0.3 seconds I had Rika-chan's mouth covered. Holding a piece of bacon-wrapped asparagus and giving her two choices. Just pretty terrible.
その、黄色がカリフラワー、緑がカリフラ。さあどっちだ？多分黄色がブロッコリーで、青がカリフラワー。でも緑はその。
Since when was there a blue one? What?
本当にどっちか分かってる？降参した方が良くない？
I'd expect no less from the class representative. the oldest. The way she drives people into a corner just shows how much experience she has. This is just a hunch, but being brought into the Sonozaki household must be quite the ordeal.
わかりますもの。わかるもん。じゃあ答えなよ。わかるもん。わかるもん。
She finally broke down and started crying. When she acts like this, she actually starts to seem her age. Reina entered a state of euphoria as Santiago bawled her eyes out. Reina was in a state of bliss as she rubbed her cheek against Santiago's head and smothered her. Really, a very content face. One that wouldn't care if the world ended right then. It was that kind of smile. See, every time it says something like that, I get nervous, because I know that this visual novel is gonna go dark places. I'm sure of it, but it's just a matter of when. It was like a flash of lightning.
一体何が
Both of Reina's fists shot out at supersonic speeds, striking Mion and me squarely in our faces. That was rather uncalled for. Before we knew it, Mion and I were sprawled spread-eagle on the floor, staring up at the ceiling with matching welts on our faces.
Ch1 は食らうの初めてだよね。今日のはまだ甘い方。
Well, I feel like this ability is probably going to be something to keep in mind for later, maybe? Although, it might just be comic relief, I don't know.
甘いってこれよりまだ上があるってのかよ
I think the takeaway here is that she's strong, though. Like, physically strong. With that, Mion and I both slumped our heads back to the floor in unison. From now on, I'll be careful when I'm within striking distance of Reina. Making sure Reina couldn't see it, Satoko stuck her tongue out at us. Wow. Damn it all. Using Reina like a puppet. That's way more manipulative than I thought she would be, but come to think of it, that fits in line with her character as she's been introduced to us so far. Rika-chan massaged our bruises without saying a word. No matter what the day had held, the last school bell always came too soon. Our shadows stretched off into the distance.
ねえ、ケイチ君、明日はさ、何か予定とかあるかな？
It was such a direct question from Reina, and I inadvertently blushed. If it was for a date, then couldn't you do it more subtly? Reina saw me lost for words and realized that I'd misunderstood and turned red as well.
違うの、そういうのじゃなくて、
So apparently that wasn't what she'd meant. But since it's always fun when Reina's in a panic, I went along with it a little.
なんだそういうのじゃないのかよ
Playing it up, I slumped my shoulders, feigning dejection.
ケイチ君、なんでがっかりしてるんだろう、太郎。みーちゃん。
Unable to hold it in any longer, Mion slapped me on the back.
そっか、そういう攻め方はおじさん知らなかったわ。なんなの？
Mion was rolling on the floor, clutching her stomach, while Rena flailed around, completely bewildered. I couldn't help but start laughing as well. Feeling just a bit guilty, I ruffled Rena's hair.
嘘、ごめん、冗談。悪かったよ。
She really is a cute one.
冗談ってどこからだろう？
あ、途中から。
途中から？ってことはケイちゃん、最初の真っ赤になったのはあれ演技じゃないんだ。それって。
It was only a momentary lapse, but there was no way Mion would let such a delectable detail slip by her.
いや、その。
Saying anything more was also a bad idea. In my bewildered state, I slipped further into an unfavorable position. After that, Mion continued to tease me about it for a while.
で、明日が暇だと何なんだよ、レナ。
何の話だっけ？
It had been so long that Rena had forgotten. That's how long Mion had teased me.
ケイちゃんさ、まだこのひなみ沢一人じゃ回れないでしょ？
That was true. I hate to say it, but if you blindfolded me and spun me around 3 times like we're playing pin the tail on the donkey, I wouldn't be able to tell up from down here.
そうだな。町へ行くのと学校へ行く以外はまだ自信ないな。
そうそう。それでね、明日ね、みーちゃんとレナでお散歩しながら、ケイチくんにひなみ沢を案内してあげようよってことになって。
That would be a godsend, frankly. I was happy about the offer.
もちろん行くでしょ？
暇ならな。
女の子が誘ってんじゃん。
暇ならな。
どうせ暇なんでしょ？
暇ならな。
I was being stubborn so as not to give a clear yes or no. Even though I thought it was a godsend, I'm too much of a scamp to say so up front.
ケイチくん、暇じゃないのかな？
While Mion and I had our rather sour back and forth, Rena peeked over at me hesitantly. Figuring I'd been a bit too rough on her, I just gave in.
すまん、許せ、ごめん。暇だ。
よかった。
The trepidation disappeared from Rena's face as it blossomed into a smile.
おうおう。ミヨンさんとレナさんじゃ随分と温度差がありますじゃん。
Seems Mion didn't care for how rude I was to her compared to how quickly I agreed with Rena. But her being annoyed was very interesting. So I pushed Rena forward, speeding up our pace to leave Mion
行
behind.
こう、レナ。明日は二人っきりで出かけような。嫌味なミオンは置いてって。
ケイチくんがそれでいいなら。案内しようって提案したのは私。しかとすんな、前原ケイチ。
二人きりでピクニック嬉しいな。弁当は持ってくか、レナ。
お弁当いるならレナ作っちゃおうかな。レナもしかとすんな。二人がラブラブだって村中に回覧板を。じゃあレナ、今日は早く帰ってお弁当の準備するね。明日が楽しみ。じゃあね、ケイチくんにみーちゃん、さようなら。
Rena bounded off like she was walking on the moon. After the dust settled, all that was left was me standing next to Mion, sprawled out on the ground. There was a welt on her face.
大丈夫か？ミオンとレナの立ち位置。 2メートルは離れてたはずだぞ。
That's some range.
あんたが来て以来切れ味は増す一方。おじさん身が持たないわ。
Maybe it'd be easier if you stopped saying stuff that makes Rena want to hit you. Or else this will end up being Mion's slapstick comedy hour. If that happened, the results might be fatal.
くじけるなよミオン。レナのジャブを見切れるのはお前しかいない。
私は膝じゃないかと思ってんだけどね。
Huh. So, it seems like Mion is actually like is known for being quick, I guess? Being capable of dodging. That might be something to keep in mind for later. Could it be that we were hanging around with an unrivaled martial arts master? Maybe someday we'll see her debut in an extreme contact sport.
レナには負けられないぞ。ミオンも鍛えてリベンジだ。
ケイちゃんがしてよ。おじさんは応援してる。
I don't get the way she talks at all. It makes no sense why she keeps calling herself that. I imagine they're probably going to bring it up at some point because it's just as weird in Japanese, I imagine. Mion and I reaffirmed our determination to discover a way to counter Reina's infallible technique. Okay. So we can actually check these out, I guess. And this is actually like a pretty perfect place to end the first episode as well. So let's read these real quick. We are a mixed grade.
レナってさ、俺と同い年だったよな。
うん、そうだよ。えとも同じだよね。
Hey now, it would be weird if we were the same age, but not the same zodiac animal.
そんなことないよ。誕生日の違いがあれば、年齢が同じでも干支が違うこともあり得るって。
あれ？あ、そうか。ミオン、頭いいじゃないか。
ところで、ケイチ君は何月生まれなのかな？レナは7月なんだよ。
Reina smirked and puffed up with pride. Hey now, what's the meaning of this? She's not planning to be all high and mighty if her birthday is a wee bit sooner than mine, is she?
だが諦めろ。俺に誕生日で挑もうったって無駄なことだ。なんならどっちが年上か罰ゲーム付きで勝負してもいいぜ。
なんでだろう。なんでだろう。
Reina panicked at suddenly being challenged to a wager. Given how panicked she is, I'm certain she doesn't have much allowance left this month. It's just, sending her into a panic about something as simple as a birthday is so much fun, I can't help myself.
ってことはケイちゃん、ひょっとして4月生まれ？
そういうこったな。残念だな、レナ。俺、もうとっくにレナより年上なんだよ。
へえ、そうなんだ。じゃあ、みーちゃんと同い年なんだね。まあ、ほんの何ヶ月かはね。すぐにまた差を開いてあげるけどさ。
Mion snickered through her nose. Hey now, that's not something to get all high and mighty about. As if I'm the one to talk.
そういえば、ミオンって上級生なんだよな。
下級生の方が燃えるってんなら、今日から下級生ってことでもいいけど。
So how does that work if he's the same age as her, but she's in a higher grade?
みーちゃん、よくわかんないこと言ってる。
Just by seeing Reina's blushing face, you could tell she knew exactly what she meant by it, though.
で、サトコとリカちゃんが下級生ってどころか学校が違うくらいの下級生だよな。
H 君はちょっと好みの年齢が低すぎると思うな。
So if I had to guess, I think these three are like middle schoolers, while Satoko and what was her name? Rika. Those two would probably be like elementary schoolers if I had to guess. Or it could be that these three are like high schoolers and those two are middle schoolers. Hard to tell, I guess, until we actually get like a definitive, clear like age range on any of these characters. You're not making any sense yourself, Reina. I'll just grab onto her head and scruff it up a bit.
I 前から思ってたんだけどさ、なんでこの学校ってクラスが学年混在なんだ？
教室の数が足りないからだよ。仕方ないじゃん。営林署の建物を間借りしてんだからさ。
When she says it like that, it makes sense. I've thought our school was strange for a while now. The schoolyard is gravel. There are rooms that aren't for classes, and there's some strange sort of construction machinery parked here.
なんで借りてるんだよ。本当の学校はどうしちゃったんだよ。
戦前からずーっと立ってたらしいからね。老朽化でね。廃校ってわけよ。
It probably was a grand old schoolhouse.
まあそれで生徒は町の学校に通うことになったんだけどさ。遠いでしょ？どこの学校だったの？沖宮の駅前通りを抜けて病院に曲がって小児科の向かいに学校あるのわかる？
I couldn't tell where that was by the location, but I understood it was pretty far from Reina's reaction.
まあそんなわけでさ。沖宮の学校に通いたくない連中はこうして営林署の建物を間借りした仮校舎に通ってるってわけさ。南沢の子供の半分くらいかな。朝早くに自転車で通ってる子たちも結構いるよ。まあこんなはちゃめちゃな学校に通ってたら進学校とかはちょっと無理だろうからね。そんなことないよ兄ちゃん。ちゃんと頑張ればどこでだってお勉強はできるよ。
お、そうだぞそうだぞ。レナとは意見が一致したな。
そうだねそうだね。頑張ろう。せいぜい頑張ってくださいな。おじさんがささやかに応援しとりますわ。
俺たちがじゃないぞ。ミオンがだぞ。お前受験生だろ。こんな成績じゃお先真っ暗だぞ。
I thought they said that you could get into university just by attendance in this place, but I guess they mean something different than that. I guess they mean like higher education as in something beyond even university.
いいもんいいもん。路頭に迷ったら永久就職してケイちゃんに食わせてもらうから。永久就職ってなんだろうなんだろう。ほらそこうるさいですよ。自習は静かに。
The teacher yelled at all three of us. It was completely our fault. Satoko saw it and chortled haughtily. I stuck out my tongue at her in response. It is just as Mion says. The school has nothing to do with higher education. But it makes up for that by having lots of valuable things other schools don't. Huh. So it seems like the tips menu is kind of like... It's different from Umineko. It's actually like unlocking special scenes. So we'll check out the other one next time. But for now, I'm actually going to call it. Although before we do that, I do want to talk a bit, just briefly, about the characters that we've met so far. So far, I think the one that I like the most that we've met so far is probably Mion. She seems the most interesting to me. There's, of course, I'm interested in the whole dynamic between Rika and Satoko, and how they eventually become Berncastle and Lambda Delta, but I have a feeling that probably won't be like described in any real detail. It's just kind of like a thing that happens off screen between Higurashi and Umineko, so I'm not going to be holding my breath on that one too much. But I'm still interested in seeing like what their characters are like and what their characterization, how that plays out. So anyway, I'm going to save it here, so until next time, take care, and I will see you then. It's off to a really interesting start so far, I guess. I mean, we haven't really done much, but the way it started was very, very interesting, and I'm really confused about that right now. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. So, take care, and I will see you next time.